Hi everyone. If you've seen some of my past videos, you will see that I'm all about trying to help highly sensitive people to thrive in the world. And when I'm talking about highly sensitive, I'm including people who have ADD, ADHD, people with sensory processing disorder, people with autism and Asperger's. When we're highly sensitive, how do we live our life? What do we do when we get up in the morning to help us to live our life? Because it's hard when you're highly sensitive.
Find your self-acceptance.
Acceptance. Acceptance is such a big one when it comes to being highly sensitive. Now, I have worked with my healing for a long time. I have had a lot of therapy, and I have worked with myself to an extreme. And I do feel a lot better about myself and my life these days. So that's good. But interestingly, I still struggle with self-acceptance. And so then I find myself asking, well, why is it then? So I want to make a phone call to book an appointment. Why am I anxious? Why am I anxious if I feel like I've resolved my issues around rejection? Why am I anxious if I've decided that it's okay to be myself and it's okay to be vulnerable? And it's okay to ask for my needs? I'm asking myself these questions because there still has been a sort of tension there, and the tension signals to you that, well, there must be something wrong. And I think I just have struggled to get to that place where I accept the fact I've decided to be vulnerable. I accept the fact that I have certain needs. And when I get to that place, then I realise, well, actually, this is okay. I'm never going to be super misconfident on the telephone, just rattling out my what I need. You know, I'm always going to be a little bit cautious. I'm always going to be, yes, possibly sharing that I'm anxious about something, that I need something, that I'm worried about the lighting in the place I'm going to. I'm always going to be like that. It's not going to change, and it's not a sign of weakness. And well, that is a bit of a revelation for me at the moment. Last night I went on a Find a Friend website, and it's, you know, just a friend, not a partner. And I had to fill in all these details about myself. You know, what books I like to read and what films I went to, and there was this great list of things that I might like to do. I might like to go to the theatre, or to play sports, or to go on holiday, and to go canoeing, and to do all these things. And I looked down them and I just thought, my goodness, you know, I can find about 2 I'd like to do in that lot. And I felt, crumbs, who's going to want to be friends with me? You know, what do I like doing? And in the end I called myself a healing geek because I thought, well, yes, I suppose I am really. You know, anybody who meets me after a short amount of time will realise that, well, this is who I am, you know. This is one of the few things that really lights me up. And so I felt good to put that you could call me a healing geek. I felt good. You never know, there might be another healing geek out there. But I thought, yeah, why don't I let go of all that feeling of being inadequate for not doing this and not doing that, and not liking busy places, not being able to go shopping and have coffee in a precinct. Why don't I let go of it? And it just feels so good to let go of it. Another little example. This morning I got up and I seem to have a problem with having enough clothes all the time, and that's quite a lot to do with the fact that I'm so particular on pattern and the feel of my clothes and the colour of my clothes that actually I find it very difficult to find enough clothes. And so sometimes I get up and I think, oh, I've got to make do with what I've got here. So I end up trying out different colour combinations because that's all I've got. But today I got up and I just loved wearing pinky red. And I had pinky red trousers on, I had a pinky red vest top on, and I put on a pinky red cardigan, and I looked in the mirror and I thought, wow, I'm all in red. And then I asked myself, well, do I feel good? And the answer was yes, I do feel good. Does it matter if other people look at me and think, gosh, she's looking very red today? Does it matter? Because I feel good wearing red today. So I think when you're highly sensitive, you question yourself. You know that you're drawn to certain things. You're drawn to certain foods. Why not eat them more often? Why have to have great big variety of food if you're drawn to certain foods at different times of the year? Why not stick with what you like? I think you just have to walk into a supermarket, don't you, and see all the choices on the shelves. And you realise that, oh my goodness, yeah, we're surrounded by so much choice. Well, do we have to always make so many choices, or can we stick with what we know and what we love, And so I think that sometimes we feel like, oh yes, I should be this, I should be that, I should be the other. Why? We don't have to be, do we? We can just accept ourselves as we are. If I feel drawn to pinky red and it makes me smile, I should wear it. So what I'm saying here is that self-acceptance is a must, and even when you've really worked to find out who you are and to feel better about life, we still need to find that extra bit of self-acceptance just because we're different. Our brains work differently, our nervous systems are different. We're just different.
Connect with your senses.
The next thing that's important when we get up in the morning is that we connect with our senses. Now, because we can tend to have quite busy brains sometimes as highly sensitive people, we can be thinking a million thoughts before breakfast, and over half of those might be negative. So we really have to think, it's very difficult to switch that off though, and to say, I'm just going to stop thinking. It's difficult. So we have to shift our attention to something else. So we've already shifted our attention to feeling good about ourselves. We can wear red, it's fine. But we also need to shift our attention to our senses. And so if you start the day with a bath, you feel like, oh yeah, I feel the water, I feel the softness of the towel, I smell the pleasant scent, or no scent of your shampoo. And that's really important to be able to be in the moment like that. I met somebody, a child, not too long ago, who had proprioception disorder. And I'm sure some of you will know what that is, which means that you really can't feel how you're making contact with, with your environment, and how you fit into space in a room, for instance, or into the world. So it's a very disturbing disorder. And it taught me, because although being highly sensitive seems to make you feel like you disassociate quite often because you're just too much in a clutter and your energy is kind of going around and about, and it's hard to stay really in yourself all the time. When I met this child, I felt deeply, deeply grateful that I could feel the chair underneath my bottom, and I can feel the floor underneath my feet, and I can feel my hands when they touch, and I can feel the amount of pressure they're exerting, and it's comfortable to me. And I just felt, wow, I am so connected really, compared. And I should be grateful for that. So just staying aware of your senses, and when there's a nice smell, something cooking you like in the kitchen, be aware that that's a nice smell. When there's a nice sound, I'm trying to think of one, be aware that that's a nice comforting sound to you. Maybe the bath running, I think, is quite a nice sound for me. Actually, running water is a nice sound. And what other senses? Well, taste, obviously. We do eat quite a few times a day, especially these days. I think we snack more. So, we're always looking for something to make us feel good and, light us up. So when we have those strawberries, we need to really enjoy those strawberries, the smell of them, the taste of them, the texture of them. And then we feel more connected. We just naturally feel more connected by staying in touch with our senses.
Keep strong boundaries.
Another thing that can really help us every day of our lives is to have strong boundaries. Now, it is hard to have strong boundaries if you've got things in yourself that you haven't really resolved and you're not very sure about who you are, okay? And in that case, really, then, like the first one I said about self-acceptance, if you're struggling to get to that place, then you need to have help. You need to find some therapy. Another important thing to remember every day of your life is to have strong boundaries. Now, it's hard to have strong boundaries when you don't know who you are. In the same way that the first one I was talking about, self-acceptance, it's hard to find that place of self-acceptance as a highly sensitive if you've got deep down rooted things about self-acceptance. So I would suggest, if you're struggling with self-acceptance or boundaries, that you need to find yourself some help. You need to find yourself some therapy. But if you've got to that place where you feel you've got quite good boundaries, but they seem to always be kind of moving around too much. So the minute that something, say, happens, or you hear some bad news or something, you feel immediately like too much has got in, then that reminds us that it's important to have strong boundaries. And how I was thinking about it today was that I suddenly remembered how I felt the day I'd given birth to my son. And I felt like this was my world. And nothing was going to come into my world on that day. Because, well, there was so much in my world that why would I need anything else from outside? And why should I let something from outside come in to disturb it? And this morning I was thinking, I wonder if I can recreate that feeling of like, this is my world. I have enough and I have all these good things. So why should I let things come in and disturb it? And it doesn't mean to say that I'm impervious at all, or sort of shut in or shutting out the world. But I'm not completely porous, because when you're completely porous, well, then you're just letting everything sort of topple you over. And, I don't think that that's a way for us to live, because you can't live when you're like that. You're just completely stuck. So it's very important to have strong boundaries.
Understand your energy.
Energy. When we're highly sensitive, whether we like it or not, we are highly aware of energy. We're highly aware of the energy in ourselves and of the energy in our environment and the energy in other people. And we need to have some sort of understanding of that. And it's such a huge subject that I can only go into a tiny bit of it right now. And the one part that I wanted to focus on was this needing to be able to hold our energy and express our energy. And this is so important in particularly in things like ADHD and ADD. and autism, but also when you're highly sensitive. It's so important that we know how to hold our energy and how to express it. Now, what do I mean by that, holding our energy? Well, I first encountered it when I was having some therapy with a lady, and I was saying, I have so much love, I have so much to give, I just want to love people, and I don't know what to do with all this love inside of me. And she said to me, she said, well, you need to learn to hold it. And I was a bit annoyed at the time because I thought, well, I just don't see how I'm supposed to do that. But actually, I have learned to hold my energy. You can't always be expressing it all over the place. Some of it is for you anyway, so you don't want to be expressing it all over the place. But some of it is not ready. It's a bit like proving bread. It's not ready to be expressed, so you have to hold it. There's that reason. And then there's also the fact that you may be in the middle of your day and have some big energy to express, and you feel like you've got this big project to do, but you can't do it. You've got to look after your child, or you're in the middle of work or something. And so we need to be able to hold our energy, but realizing that at some point we are going to be able to express it. So when we express our energy, ideally we want to be expressing it in a way that's making us feel good and enriched, and possibly a way that we're actually doing good and helping other people, but not necessarily. But we want to be choosing how we express our energy, ideally. If you were to put on music and to dance, you could just go completely manic because you just want to work out. That might not be the thing that makes you feel the best at the end. It might be best to choose some slightly less frenetic music and to move with intention, whatever you do. You could still be moving quite frenetically, but you're moving with intention. When we express our energy, it needs to be with intention. Otherwise, we should be holding our energy. That's how it is when you're highly sensitive, particularly, because you can feel that energy in you, and it doesn't feel good to express it just by shooting around the room, because, well, then you're sort of dispersing it, and it might well be too much for your system to do that. So you can actually make yourself feel more jangled and more disturbed by releasing your energy in that way. And this is particularly important for people with ADD and ADHD, that they learn to hold their energy and they have enormous opportunities to express their energy in a way that is focused and with intent.
How can I help you?
So I hope I've given you a taster of how I could help your child who's highly sensitive, who has ADD, who has ADHD, who has autism or Asperger's. I would help your child to find their self-acceptance, to connect with their senses, to have strong boundaries, and to understand their energy. I live in Somerset in the UK. I work from home, and I would also be happy to work on the phone or by Skype, but that would be more in a consultation role rather than obviously actually working with your child using the resources I have at home. And I'm just happy for you to get in touch. We can have a chat, talk about your needs, come and meet me, and I just look forward to helping people work with the highly sensitive children. Okay, thank you for listening.